All right, we're running the discharge line to this culvert. And we have a lot of roots. We have big trees. So the guy's got the copper sock on the discharge line. We have a catch basin right there. That's going to be so we can, run a camera through it just to make sure no roots ever enter it. If we ever need to get in the system, it makes it easy right there. Always put an inline sediment trap just for a clean out, just for a place to enter for, copper sulfate treatments. You just never know. If you got to run a camera through it and then you realize I'm going to have to, put a jetter through this, leave yourself a lot of different areas that you can access the system. It's really key. We have to get the line through this section one way or another. This happens all the time. Homeowners cut a really big tree down. And you go and look at a job and you design the drainage system a certain way. And sometimes there's no way of changing the layout. So the guys, they have just been axing on this for a while and they're working their way through basically a stumped area. All right, Francisco took an extra heavy duty Y. He put two 45-degree fittings on it. That way we can grab the French drain going this way, grab the French drain pipe going this way. So this is very common. We have really good slopes, so the yard has no drainage issues. But then we have some landscape. There's this naturescape back here. And we have these phragmites that find their way into the yard. So the homeowners, they do their best to create boundaries that help keep nature at bay so that their yard doesn't get overtaken. But by doing that, all this water is going down to that flagstone little retaining wall there. The water's just getting hung up right there. So what we're doing is we're putting a French drain right along the base of this retaining wall. We're running a discharge line right to that culvert back there so that we can evacuate the water quickly, get it off the property, keep the yard nice and tight. So we use a firefighter demolition blade for cutting through rooftops when they're putting out a house fire. And then we have two saws so we don't mix up the saws. We got a demolition blade on one and we got a concrete blade, a mason blade on the other.
It's the first time we've used water like this and it works way better.
This is what that firefighter demo blade looks like. Pretty gnarly. For cutting through rooftops when they're trying to put out fires, when buildings are burning. They got to try to enter a building to help get people out, and they got to find a way in around all the flames. These demo blades, they'll cut through all kinds of things with them, but you don't want to cut concrete with it. That's a real expensive blade. They're over $300. So when you uncoil pipe, if you use a string, the string that it comes with, it works really good. And if you have somebody holding the other end, it goes nice and fast and smooth. A lot of value to doing it that way. So right here's our clean out. It's a 12 by 12 with a 6-inch solid cover. All right, we're hooking up the French drain to those 45s that go to that Y. We're also going to put a clean out on this end. We're going to have a clean out on both ends. All right, the guys are on lunch, so I figured I'd go over this real quick so you can see how they put that clean out in. We have one turf restrictor plate. And right there's that clean out on the discharge line, just allowing for a way in. The guys went ahead and they put stone in, and they're going to drive the Mini. As soon as they get off their lunch break, they're going to get that mini excavator across the system right here. So they had to put that together. They're running two perforated pipes in the bottom of the trench. We don't put stone underneath our pipe in yard drains because it leaves water behind. Now, if we're going to use copper fabric, spend, you know, a lot of money to do something like that, then we could. So there's so much water flowing in the system already. This is extremely active. There's a spring over here. I just want to show you guys. Look at the water. Look at the water flowing. I mean, there's so much water running. This is active, and this has been running like this since we opened it up. This yard was in really bad shape. Because this yard had a spring, it's going to run 24/7, 365. This is just always going to run. The guys went ahead and put a critter guard and a piece of dual wall pipe at the end of the discharge line. And this just runs right into this culvert pipe. Yeah, try to figure that in per foot. The guys that want to charge linear feet. Homeowners, if you got a guy that wants to charge you by the linear foot and you know you got a lot of tree roots and stumps, hire them. You know you got a spring when you see the minerals on the water that's coming up out of the ground. That's spring right there. That's spring water for sure. Looks like an oil spill. You see that? Your water problem is caused by a spring. So here's the anatomy of a double piped French drain. These pipes, they have holes all the way around them, 360 degrees. These perforated pipes sit at the bottom or near the bottom of the trench, depending on what type of French drain you're building and for what purpose the French drain is being built for. You then want to have some 3/4 inch stone, like this is 3/4 inch to 1 inch. There's a couple large pieces of cobble in there, but for the most part, this is going to lock the system up really nice. It's not going to feel like you're walking on golf balls. If you go too big with the stone, that's going to happen. This round rock, not crushed stone, but round rock, it creates these voids. You can see all the shadows throughout the stone. That's what water moves through, is the voids of the stone. Now this stone, you want to be able to get some stone between the pipe and the fabric, because the fabric is going to work better if you have some stone between the pipe and the fabric. That's when fabric works its best. So Cal cut out the fabric around the cleanouts. We'll put the sod back around the cleanout. We'll always be able to find that. When you have a lot of trees, you want to put copper sock on your system. We got copper under the fabric. We got copper on the pipe. We're going to put copper sulfate through this system periodically. We're throwing everything at it because river birch. On these river birch in the landscape, the roots are very invasive, so you have to do something. Otherwise, they're just going to find your system and they're going to fill your pipe full of root. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. If you have any questions regarding this installation, leave them in the comment section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.